Hello, everyone. Welcome to the VeryReasonablePilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles Lung. With me, as always, is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, and gunner, Jacob Ball.
I'm well. I'm happy to be on the show where we pitch a new pilot TV show every week. And this week, if I'm right, Charles. Anyway, I've got an interesting show that you might find curious. It's called The Gift of Gab.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may be interested in this very sitcom-y, sort of adventurous, comedic show involving a goofy fantasy medieval world that is lazy yet sort of meta in the way that it encapsulates the primitive society of the medieval world. If I were to pitch this to you in a short word, it would be a con group trying to make some money in this fantasy world, which I know you love. You love con groups.
I love a con group.
Okay.
Give me a man who's like, I'm in charge, but he's not really in charge. He's just, some stooge who's at the front of this gang of misfits.
Okay.
Or something else.
I've got a woman, not a man, woman in charge. Her name is Gab the Gambler. She is the brains of the crew. She's an expert at flam, which is the main, it's sort of poker in this universe, except it makes no sense to us,
Yeah.
We just sort of, whenever we show it on screen, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, it's not possible to understand. But she understands the game, is what's important.
If you were from somewhere else, in a different, universe, and you were like, why is a queen being jester be a king? You're like, that's fucking stupid.
It's just as confusing as that would be for some sort of alien.
For somebody who has no context for those scenarios.
Now, Gab is a silver-tongued, charming, yet lazy individual. She wears a bowler hat, has a trench coat. I imagine her sort of like Victorian dress, but she's not wearing a dress. She's wearing like worky clothes because she's a gambler. Now, as for like her flaw, she is afraid of intimacy in the sense of friendship, so she can't get close to anyone. That's her main issue. She just struggles with she can't do a hug. She gets a little uncomfortable with that. She can't even she struggles with closeness with individuals. But the pilot is Gab arrives in Bigtopolis, intentionally a stupid name, Big and Metropolis. I imagine most of the names in this universe, in this fantasy universe, are stupid like that, where it's like exactly what it is what it's called.
Wait, I don't get it.
Shut up! I have no time for your jokes.
Can you explain it, please?
No time for jokes. It's a major city. She's excited to finally have the chance to cheat her way through the biggest gambling center in the world. And the first episode's about her. We watch her through her first game. She cheats in a sort of nonsensical game, which is the game of flam. They're throwing chickens out, there's cards, there's dice, there's like random chips. It doesn't make any sense at all. The viewer has no idea what's happening, I have no idea what's happening, you have no idea what's happening. No one understands what's happening, but she wins through cheating, is what we understand.
Okay, how about this?
Against a Russian-sounding man named Bobo with an eye patch and a bald head. What were you saying?
Okay, I was saying this. What if, and this may be jumping ahead a little bit.
Probably is.
But, maybe we see that she, throws out a rooster. And we see a little bit of the games. A little bit, there's a little bit sense. There's a little bit of sense, because I don't know if, this is,
The game is super important for the series, so if you want to add a little sense to it, it's alright.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's whichever rooster head weighs the most.
It's somewhat important for the game.
And
I imagine it's complicated, Monopoly, where little movements matter, but like overall there's like some sort of strategy involved, and like there's some sort of like control that each person has over the territory. It's strange.
I just want to show her cheating. I want to show the protagonist of this series cheating in a way that like is intelligent.
Yes. No, I understand. Yeah. So she can like sneak something in, like a rooster or something silly too, which would be fun because this is a very silly show.
Yeah.
Okay. So she cheats and wins against a Russian-sounding man named Bobo, eye patch, bald head. I said that earlier, but I'm saying it again.
Yeah.
Then we have a montage of her winning
like a Popeye villain
throughout the city and living lavishly. She is playing at an expensive hall where she meets Art. Now, Art is the second character of this gang of misfits.
Let me guess.
Art is an average. What's your guess?
Well, I know he's pretty average.
You do know that because I said it.
He's an average grocery store clerk.
Nah, you're wrong. Okay, let me just get on with it. Now, if you're paying attention, Gab is the gambler.
Mm-hmm.
Gab, gambler, very close.
Yeah.
Art is an artist. Art is an average artist, poet, and bard who travels the country with mediocrity. In this encounter, he instantly falls in love with Gab. He desperately wants to be good at something. So he does everything. He's an artist, poet. He's all the artistic pathways he's followed. He has connections all over the world because he's traveled so much as a bard, poet, and musician, such artist, all that kind of stuff. And he smokes a pipe. Those are the interesting characteristics about Art. Art is his name. Art is his game. Now, Art falls madly in love with her upon meeting her, and foolishly embarrasses himself. Gab. So we have Gab and Art so far. So Art falls in love with her immediately after running into her at this, fancy sort of ball situation. I imagine it's somewhat like a Casino Royale where Eva Green meets Daniel Craig.
Yeah, and they do some chip.
And
they
anyway,
do some chip play in that movie. I haven't seen that movie. I assume there's chip play, but Daniel Craig has the hands of a gorilla.
Okay. Anyway,
I'll say it.
I don't know why he would know that.
Dr. Pepper. Look at him.
They talk briefly. Art gets rejected. Gab goes to the high roller table.
Mm-hmm.
She plays well. She plays strong. But Bobo shows up and exposes her as a liar and a cheat. Because she is one. And she runs outside escaping. She runs into Art, who's also outside, who takes this as a sign that she likes him. And then they run away together, sort of haphazardly, because, Art feels like he should help her, and she just wants to escape.
Maybe.
And unfortunately, we see them run through the city, trying to escape. They get caught. They go to jail, prison, boom, in the king's castle, whatever, in a big prison cell. That is where they meet Brute. Brute, a strongman who has, yes, I understand, Brute is a strongman, very funny. That is the point of the show. Who has been incarcerated for lifting weights over the city limits. The city has a limit on how much you're allowed to lift, and he lifted over it, so he was sent to prison. Because that's the kind of world we live in. He, unlike most strongmen, you just usually see like a strong character, like someone that, is very tough.
Yeah.
Usually he's very dumb. Well, he speaks laconically, which is a common characteristic of strong people. Laconically being like the Spartan speak, speaks in like few words. So it's like, strong, Clint Eastwood like dialogue. But he's very progressive. So he's the kind of guy who, is very a big proponent on feminine rights in this medieval society. He's very big on helping out the minoritized populations, which in this universe are probably like elves and dwarves or something like that. Different races other than human.
He's all about
Different
gay
species.
marriage. Probably.
Maybe. But that is Brute. He's a very progressive person.
Yeah.
No real flaws, to be honest. That's what I kind of said about it. He's not really a flawed character. He's kind of just like a perfect person.
But he's dumb?
He's not dumb. He speaks laconically, which means he speaks shortly. He speaks in few words, but
it's very
tough sounding.
It's
like Clint Eastwood.
And he speaks very thoughtfully, and he's very tough.
Yeah.
Let's think of a flaw for him.
No, that's the point. He has no flaw. And it's important because he's the one sort of perfect character, and that's sort of a silly thing because he leaves the group often, which is because he has to go to like conferences where he talks about like, equality and stuff, and he also goes to strongman competitions. I imagine he's dressed in sort of like 1950s men clothing, for like the strongmen. Art, by the way, is dressed depending on what his profession at the time is.
Okay.
If he's an artist, he's dressed very flamboyantly. If he's a writer, he's dressed in like, a suede jacket and like
with the pipe
glasses and a pipe, all that kind of stuff.
For different action figures.
Yes, exactly.
We can have so many action figures.
We could have a lot of action figures. Anyway, they talk in the prison cell, and the Brute's like, you guys are pretty cool. Do you want to get out? And they're like, yeah, I want to get out. They're like, okay, sure. Breaks out of the chains, because, he's this tough guy. Just snaps off his chains, then rips them out of the chains. They're like, okay, let's go. And they walk out the exit, and the guard runs into them and is like, hey, what are you guys doing? You shouldn't be allowed to leave. And they're like, the king, he said we could go. It's all right. He's like, why would he say that? He's like, what do you think we broke out of our chains? Physically snapped off the metal chains and then walked out of here. He's like, yeah, I know, the king probably let you go. He's like, yep, and then they walk out. That's the end of the pilot.
The king sent us on a special mission. And they hand him a scroll that they got earlier that says something rude.
He's like, oh, that's mean.
And
I guess I gotta go, guys. And he walks away and cries. Anyway, that's the end of the pilot. Ooh. So we've met 3 characters so far: Brute, Art, and Gab. Gab the gambler, Art the artist, and Brute the brute.
Wait. So Brute's a brute?
Oh my gosh, shut up. Okay. Anyway.
I'm giggling.
Second episode, they enter a small town where they try to collect themselves, after, experiencing that first day of chaos and all meeting each other. They go to the inn, they have a few drinks, and they're like, let's go to the circus. So they go to the circus that's in the small town. And they see a wonderful acrobat named Acra. Acra is, dumping around. Acra is an acrobat. She's bubbly and nice.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wait, so Brute's a brute?
All the characters named after their professions. Yes. So Acra, the acrobat, is bubbly and nice. She's very deadly, though, and has a desire for revenge against the men who killed her family.
Which men are those?
Random people. I'll get into it.
People, is she
I'll get into
Batman?
it. Essentially, she's an acrobat. I imagine her sort of like Dick Grayson in the Batman series. She's like a fighter, but she was an acrobat, and her family was killed, and now she's trying to. She's bubbly and nice, I said. She's like a very fun person, like a very exciting, fun person, but she has a dark side,
Yeah,
she switches between the two, like it's like a multiple personality disorder.
Oh.
Like she has this dark, evil side, and then she also has like, hey, let's have fun, let's go get bubble tea, and let's sit by the park and drink and have fun. Anyway, Acra, after the circus event, she gets so much applause and praise from Gab, Art, and Brute that she goes out with them drinking afterwards, and they'll get along wonderfully. And so we see them drinking, having a fun time, and then fast forward a few hours later.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the early hours of the morning, and Acra's telling them the tale of her family's murder.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Why would
So
she
it's like
do
it's
that?
like the levels of drunk is what we're getting to. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
the first level, you know, they're all having fun. You know, second, you know, it's all all those levels we're having fun, and then, boom, serious part. She's telling them the tale of her family's murder, and they all
always fucking do.
in her quest revenge, and they all pledge to release her from her contract. So she has a contract with the circus that binds her to it, and she needs to pay to get out of it. And so in the morning, they all raise money in their individual ways through their talents. So Gab goes off gambling, Art does some
art.
poetry stuff or maybe art stuff, whatever.
How is he gonna make fucking money? From
sell
poetry?
shit, all right? And then we have the strongman Brute who goes off and lifts weights and stuff and challenges people to contests. That's how he makes money. And they all get back and they only have about half of the money needed, and they've bled the town dry. So they're not getting any more money. So they think, okay, what are we gonna do? And they see that a wealthy man named Wellbeather Moneysack lives on a hill overlooking the town. And he's having a horse race the very next day. Yes, I know, Charlie. The point is that all the names and all the towns in this universe, this fantasy universe, are named deliberately after exactly what they are.
I understand. That doesn't mean I can't laugh at a man whose last name is Sack.
Moneysack is his last name.
But the last part of his last name is Sack, and that's pretty funny.
So, Art
We call him Sackling in elementary school.
Oh my god.
What's up, Sackling?
In this setting, they decide to rob Wellbeather Moneysack, and Moneysack is holding a horse race, and so they're going to rob the horse race. Art poses as a famous jockey from out of town to get access to the back rooms. Brute and Acra are posing as waiters, and Gab is posing as a wealthy gambler, and she gets in by betting essentially all their money they made the other day.
Oh, she shouldn't have done that.
Well, I mean, it works out, so
yeah,
she
but
done that.
she still shouldn't have done that. It's a bad idea.
So, with her in the back room area, with all four of them essentially now in the back room area, where all the wealthy people are, they're able to get access to the money, and it all works out perfectly. They get the money, we're about to leave, except for Art, who's actually has to race a horse now. Doesn't do well in the race.
Oh, is he racing the horse?
Yes, he's the jockey.
Oh.
He's a jockey. He has a horse and he's racing it. They entered him into the race.
No, I think he should be running against the horse.
No, he's racing a horse. He's no good. He's no good as a jockey, so it doesn't go well.
It's a silly show. His name is Art, and he does art. It'd be fun. It'd be like a 19...
I like the idea, though, of him, trying to ride the horse and it failing, thinking, this is an easy job, the horse is ready to go, and he just runs straight into the wall. After the gate opens, all they're like, go! All the horses run straight, except for his just runs straight into the wall, and he slams over and he flies into the audience.
Oh. Or maybe he runs into a bunch of the other horses, and they fall over like motorcycles. Tip,
Yeah.
And then he flies into the audience and falls into somebody's breasts, because that's what would happen in the 1990s.
Yeah, we're classy. We don't do that. We don't need that kind of humor.
Yeah. Is it humor? That's not really humor, is it?
I don't know. Anyways, they get the money. They're about to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And they run into Bobo. Bobo, if you remember, is the Russian with the eye patch that Gab ripped off in the first episode.
Wait.
Bobo is also at the horse race. Bobo. And Bobo recognizes Gab and is like, she's trying to rob you. You gotta get her. And then they, everyone chases her.
Wait, can Bobo be betting on a horse that also has an eye patch?
Yes, I'm good with that.
That just seems funny.
That would be funny.
It was like the one that just is in second place. and it's got an eye patch, and it's really mean looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Bobo sees Gab, and just as they're about to get away with it, everyone's chasing her now. Gab, and the whole horse race people, all the bettors, all the wealthy people, everyone is chasing her, and her friends. They hand the money to Acra. Acra, with her amazing acrobatic skills and sneakiness, disappears and is able to pay off her circus, circus Olay homies with the money, and then escapes with them. And we see her come back. You really liked me saying the word homies. And then they.
I'm just saying, you tried to play it off like you saying the word homies. Like it was no big deal. It's not. It's a big deal.
Okay, to you. Anyway, then she meets back with them, and they run off into the sunset, chased out of town.
Oh, okay.
That is the end of the second episode.
Oh shit! That's so many twists and turns.
It is.
My heart is palpitating.
It should be.
So
the main arcs that I went
if your heart is palpitating, please see a doctor immediately.
You should, definitely. Anyway, the main arcs that I want from this series, I want Gab to confront her family. So in the past, I want it so that Gab, she had some family problems, and it's why she separated from them. And the family problems were essentially that she came from a very honest group of people, and she started to gamble and make her money dishonestly, and they disowned her. They kicked her out of town. They're like, we don't want you here, we don't accept you as our daughter. And I want like a episode where she goes back and she like confronts them and is then okay with it and says like, I've got my new family now, which is like my conning friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I want from her. So she accepts her sort of family losses. Art, eventually, over a long time, will eventually get into a relationship with Gab. I want it to be a very long, poured out thing where it's like, will they, won't they, where he is constantly making a fool of himself, and Gab is sort of reluctant of it because of her inability to maintain emotions.
We gotta be careful about that.
Why?
Then. Because there is a lot of will they, won't they relationships in TV history.
Well, it's classic sitcom media.
But
people eat it up, Charlie. They love it.
Yeah, but sometimes
they fucking nibble on it. They love it. Will they, won't they?
But it sometimes just looks like stalking.
No. Will they, won't they is perfect. People love it.
Okay.
Anyway, it won't look like stalking, obviously.
Okay, just make sure. It's over.
I want it to be him looking foolish, and her not realizing that he likes her. For 4 seasons, I don't know how many seasons. I was only thinking like 2 seasons.
4 seasons.
We only do. This is a Community. Anyway, so eventually they'll get together, and he'll become. So his main flaw is that he's unsure of himself because he tried so many different skills. He tries to be a poet. He tries to be an artist. He tries to be a musician. He tries to be all these different skills.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's obsessed with the idea that he isn't good at anything. So he tries to do multiple different things to find what he's good at, and eventually he's going to discover that it's all right to not be amazing at something, but being good at a lot of things is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I don't want him to discover like, oh, I'm finally good at this thing. He's just gonna figure out like, hey, it's kind of alright being a jack of all trades. Anyway, that's his little arc. Acra, the acrobat. Her arc is going to be that she finds the men who kill her family, and she's going to send them to jail. She's going to want to kill them for most of the time, but she's going to eventually to send them to jail. And the way this is going to be done is that Acra's sort of revenge plot is going to be a B story throughout some of the episodes, like every once in a while. So like every 5th episode or so, we'll do like Acra B story where she is tracking down the people that kill their parents, and it's always going to be a solo story. And it's going to be higher quality animation if this is an animated show, or higher quality cinematography if it's a live action show. And it's going to be like really dramatic. It's going to be a complete change of tone from like the drama or the comedic drama we're listening to. It's going to be like a very serious action drama that Acra's involved in. Just to sort of like, because it adds a comedic element when you have like two different genres in the same story. So that is Chris. The group art as an overall, I hope, will be from like a selfish conning group to a sometimes helping conning group that also is selfish.
Yeah, because
they're still selfish because that's the fun part. That's the interesting story.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody loves a selfish con because selfish cons are fun.
They are. We got the perfect group. We got the silver-tongued devil, Gab. We got the artist, the artiste,
the seducer.
We got the strongman. Well, the seducer I was assuming was Gab because Gab is the silver-tongued charming person. Art is the creative abstract.
But the creative abstract person doesn't really add very much to the group. I think Gab should be
they're the distraction. They're the fancy. They can put on a bougie personality that distracts while Art gets into like the nitty gritty. And Acra actually does the real work, and so does Brute because he's strong. Like Acra's an acrobat, so she can flip and stuff. I don't know.
She can do flips. She's probably really good at twirling.
Yeah, she'd like jump into secure places and steal stuff, dance around lasers and stuff. Even though this is a fantasy universe, but
she probably went to some sort of scary Russian school where they made you learn to do a whole bunch of flips. That's how they do.
Maybe. Anyway, here I'm gonna run through some of the fun ideas. They're gonna rob a masquerade ball. Very simple. Selling fake wands to wizards. Another fun little con idea. I'm gonna have a continuous gambling plot for the series where Gab is slowly banned from every single gambling ring in all of this universe. We're gonna fake Art's death numerous times. That's gonna be a con, so that his art is worth more. Mm-hmm. So his art and poetry and all that stuff is worth more. So they're gonna fake his death at each town. Like introduce him, like be like, oh, this is a new artist. And they're like, oh, that's cool, I guess. Don't really care about his art. Then they'll fake his death, and everyone will be like, oh, I gotta buy it because it's worth more.
Yeah. Maybe we fake his death in each episode. Throughout, like...
Maybe not each episode, but like a couple of the episodes we'll fake it so that they can do the con.
But it'd be fun if there was like a murder mystery and he was like murdered throughout. And he at the end he comes up and he's like, yeah,
it's just a con, guys.
I was trying to make
that'd be interesting as like an outside episode where like we don't follow our main characters, we follow like a new set of characters as they try to solve Art's murder, but in reality he's just a con man. That'd be interesting. A strongman, another idea I have is a strongman serum that they fake with Brute, but it actually works. The serum that they just put together actually ends up working.
Like the snake oil actually works.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh shit.
Essentially the idea. We have a couple mercenary drops that they end up taking. So killing a dragon, but they actually end up becoming friends with the dragon and kill the company that's trying to destroy its habitat. So they they go into the cave. It's very dangerous. They meet the dragon. They're like, fearsome dragon. The dragon's like, hey, so how's it going? And they're like, oh, hey, he's cool. We can be friends with him. And they end up killing their contractors instead.
Oh. So these are some morally righteous mercenaries.
They have some morals, but, they also want money. We have building challenges, so they'll be, in one episode, they'll be building courses for the Lady of the Pond. So Lady of the Lake, she gives the sword to the knight, and the knight has to, do shit. to
Probably.
fully, get the lady, to get the sword,
He's
prove
gotta-
himself worthy or whatever.
He's
Anyway.
gotta be pure-blooded.
Or something.
It's incestuous.
No, it doesn't. Anyway, he's got to prove himself.
All royals are incestuous. Go on.
Anyway, he's got to prove himself to the Lady of the Pond. So they set up the challenges for this royal person. Lizards and dragons and stuff. It can be a fun episode, them setting up different traps and such. Stealing an all-seeing crystal ball from a wizard. They'll do that.
Wait.
And they'll find it doesn't work. It's just complete bullshit. You're like, wow, I thought they were magic. They're not.
No.
There is magic in this world, but this ball is not magic. That's just a lie.
No, it's just like a thing that people keep in their, backyards because they think they look cool. But also, like, what was the idea you had before that?
The lady of the...
Maybe if the Lady of the Pond, like the Lady of the Lake gives you a sword,
Yeah,
maybe the Lady of the Pond just gives you like a little stick.
just a little tiny stick.
And
Yeah.
it does all the same things,
But it's just a little stick.
it's just like a stick. And
Like-
they're like, that's not as fun, is
We
it?
got something else. Anyways, then I've got a few parodies for us. We're gonna do an episode where the Lord of the Rings is a parody in this episode where they break the ring by accident. So they're gonna be on the journey, they're gonna get the ring, they're gonna be like, you have to bring it to Mount Plambadabada, where we have to destroy the ring because it's the only place the fires of Mount Plambadabada. It's the only place the ring can be destroyed. And they're like, okay, sure. And they go off on the journey and they're like, we're going through, blah, 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 fight some monsters and shit. And then, Art will trip and fall on the ground and the ring will shatter when he hits the ground. But,
Yeah. Oh.
it's broken. We're good. And they'll just stop. That's the end of the journey. It's the end of the episode. They'll just be like, it's over.
Well, let's go back to that elf village, I guess. And they're like, no, you can't come in. Sorry. Fuck off. And they're like, oh, shit. And they have to go back, and they visit all the same places, and it's like, what's the pony?
Pony?
Yeah, the tavern that Gandalf is like, meet me at the...
Yeah, I know you're talking about that.
Yeah. He's like, meet me at the blank, and all the hobbits, like, one of them falls down, smashes the ring, they come back, and they're like, that wasn't sporting, mate. Not sporting.
The next parody I have is Hillbilly Game of Thrones, where we come across this like Hatfields and McCoys sort of town that's in like the Game of Thrones style, so we've got like different houses and stuff, and they're all fighting over very mundane things. Our heroes, Gab, Acra, we try to solve them, but they just like, fuck it, they just want to be angry at each other because they want to be angry at each other. There's no point in trying.
Yeah.
And they give up. And the last parody we have is the King Arthur parody, where they steal the sword from a kind of a evil version of King Arthur, where he's like kind of a mean person.
Mate, what is he?
And his
like,
wife left him
powerful?
not because she was just like, Guinevere left him not because she just fell in love with Lancelot, but she was like, this guy's kind of a bad person.
Yeah, he smells bad.
Well, maybe that too, but he's also just like a bad dude.
Yeah.
Evil.
Is he, how is he? Is he like living in a castle, or is he...
Yeah, he's living in the cat. It's the same as the tale of King Arthur, except he's not like a benevolent, amazing king. He's like, mean to his servants. He's not like an awful, awful person, like, causing some sort of genocide. He's just like a bad king. He's not like a perfect king as he is in the tales. Like bad enough, mistreating servants and such that they would feel okay to steal his sword and sell it on the black market for like very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is like one of my favorite part of this parody is they're gonna steal his sword and think it's worth a lot. They're gonna go to the black market and be like, we got like 12 of these.
Yeah.
And just in like back stock from last year because no one wanted them. So we'll give you like 12 gold for it. 12 being low.
Well, gold doesn't seem like that low.
In this universe, it's gonna be gold. Gold is like the pound or dollar, It's not gonna be one pound of gold, like literal weight. It's not 1 gram of gold.
Now I'm trying to invest in stocks, so I need in this universe. I'm investing in stocks, so I need to know all of the ins and outs.
Oh, you do. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that is the end of that bit. The show is going to end with how it began. I don't want there to be some sort of big dramatic ending where, people get some sort of happiness or people get some sort of sadness. It's just, I want it to end how it began, with them all running away from a town that they can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it to fade to black, and that's the end.
Yeah.
And lastly, I want some sort of reoccurring joke to happen throughout the show where Bobo, the rich Russian, not actually Russian because it's a medieval fantasy universe,
Is he
but
rich?
sounds Russian. He's sort of like a warlord, a gangster sort of person. He has men under his command, tough person. I want him to continually throughout the show try to kill Gab, but fail so poorly that Gab doesn't even notice that Bobo is trying to kill Gab.
Maybe she loses.
That's how bad it is.
So she's got things in her hair. Maybe shoots a fucking crossbow out of it. At the wall.
Yeah.
She doesn't notice. And 3 scenes later, she's like, "Do you know where my, bow is?" No, sorry. Yeah.
Strange. Huh.
Hmm.
Anyways, that's all I got. Thank you all for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your co-host, Jake, and you have been...
I've been Charles Long, your host, and with me as always has been my co-host, editor, producer.
I said it.
No, you didn't.
I did. I said
fucking co-host, Jake.
Yes.
I want to give you a full, we're done.
Anyways, if you like the podcast, you could do so on all the websites that you can. YouTube, I guess, if you'd like to. The other ones you can subscribe on.
It's not as easy as it looks, is it?
Give it 5 stars or something. I don't know. Or something I'd like. Something nice. But if you don't feel like it, don't, because it's not good. But thank you for listening. Goodbye.